Okay, great. So I share my screen. Okay, so welcome everybody. Welcome to this introductory workshop on React Bricks. So today we'll explore very quickly what is React Bricks, especially why we created React Bricks, and then we'll dive into the code. So we'll see how to set up a project, how to create a new custom visual editable content block. And then I will showcase some new feature that we just released and some new feature that we are about to release. So I'm Matteo Frana, co-founder and CTO of React. I started developing website in 1996, so it's 30 years of building web solutions for customers using many different technologies. And uh, as a digital agency, primarily we created web applications such as e-commerce system, configurator systems, production management systems. And then at the end of 2019, for websites, we wanted to transition away from WordPress, and we couldn't find any solution that was great for us as developers and for our customers, for the marketing team at our customers. And so, well, we had the first lockdown in Italy, a bit more time to work on our projects instead of projects for customers. And the first MVP was created. Today, that MVP has evolved into a very mature product which is used by thousands of users worldwide and is powering websites for corporations like the Weather Channel, Deal,
Excuse me,
Bayer.
Matteo. Are you sharing slides?
Yes, you
Yeah,
don't see the slides?
I'm not seeing anything on my screen.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
You
okay.
got it?
You're good. You're good. Yeah, all good.
Ah, okay. Okay, so, well, let's start from the most important question. So, why we created Fabrics? Why we were not satisfied by what was on the market then? So, the goal for Fabrics is having a great developer experience and a great user experience at the same time. And the other big goal is to make the content team autonomous, but retain control. Because you see, when we start a content management solution project, we have two big trade-offs. The first one is this UX versus DX, and we can see that well, monolithic CMSs don't provide neither a good DX nor UX. The headless CMSs, of course, are great for developers with their great architecture, separation of concerns, but for the content teams, they are like gray forms instead of a great visual editing interface. On the other hand, we have the visual site builders like Wix or Webflow, which have a great interface for the content editors, but they are not flexible for developers. They cannot, you cannot create custom code to talk with external data sources, etc. With Rubrics, we want to achieve the power that you have with the headless CMS, but with the ease of use of a visual site builder. The other trade-off in any content management system is that of flexibility versus control. We want the content team to be able to be autonomous, creating pages, but at the same time want to retain control to be sure that they don't break the design system. And also in this case, we see that the headless CMSs and the monolithic CMSs, when are used in a way like the advanced custom fields of WordPress, can keep the design system safe, but they cannot make the content team autonomous. If you want to create a new paragraph, a new section of the page, you have to create the fields on the headless CMS and then fetch these fields, render them. With the visual set builders, it's the opposite, but it's also true that with something like Webflow, the content team can start playing with margin, paddings, font sizes, and so they can do whatever they want, and so they can have too much power to be sure that the brand stays safe. With Rubrics, we want to achieve both. So be sure that the content editor can do just what they can do without breaking the corporate identity, but at the same time, they should be free to generate new pages as they want. The key to achieve this result is a Lego brick, which is a React component that it is for the content team. It's a layout block with inline visual content editing. It's like using Word or Pages, a word processor. Very easy to use, drag and drop and write. So at the same time, it's written in code with all the constraints that the developers and the designers want to put into this brick. So it's created once in code. It can't be changed by the content team. So the code is not changed by the content team, but it can be infinitely composed. So seeing in this way, it seems that it's more toward the control than the flexibility. But the great thing is that a React component is better than a Lego brick because it has the props. So configurable properties that we can enable on this brick. So it's like having a Lego brick with a small switch so that you can define in code the level of freedom that you want to delegate to content editors. So for example, in this case with more control, we can imagine that the editor can just change the background color and it can be white or gray. So you can change it like changing the color of the brick. If we want to give more flexibility, more freedom to the content editors, you can imagine that in our React component, our Lego brick used to compose content, you can have the font size for the title, or let the editor change the padding, but maybe just two different values. Okay, so where do these Lego bricks used for content live? They live in what is sometimes called a universal CMS. I usually prefer to call it a visual headless CMS. What is this? It's a headless CMS, so the content is saved as structured content, a structured JSON in a headless CMS, but it has a front-end SDK that allows developers to create these components so that you can achieve visual editing over a design system created in React, but at the same time you have all the advantages of the couple architecture and content that is saved structure in a database and that can be reused. Okay, so more in detail, you have the backend APIs. There is a concept of the page. So instead of starting with abstract entities and relationships that are not easy to understand by the content team, we have the concept of page as a first-class citizen. A page is a set of blocks, so a set of instances of our components, of the data for our components, that is saved on the database. And in the front end, using the SDK, we have a viewer that receives the JSON content from the APIs and renders, the design system renders the components, passing in the props, and the editor access the same bricks, the same React components, and so it can allow to really edit over the page. It's really what you see is what you get, as you will see in a moment. Okay, so let me skip this part. Here are some customers using React. Ulife is a UK insurance, and Wearberry is in e-commerce, a fashion store in the UK. La Vita is a Jewish producer in Germany. Cortina Bikes is a bikes producer in Netherlands. React Paris, the website of React Paris, which will be in March, is created using React Bricks, and also React Brussels and also React Africa. So here's a quick schema of the rubrics evolution. It's now we need to update it for 2026 because we have many new things that we are releasing with V5, and I will show everything after the creating the code. So let's start a new React Bricks project. To start a new project, we just open our CLI, and we can just say, if we use pnpm create React Bricks app at latest. So it works with npm, with a yarn, with pnpm, with any package manager. Do you already have a React Bricks account? Yes. So before starting the CLI, you just need in 30 seconds to create a free React Bricks account. Okay. Create a new app, let's say workshop 2026 0226. Project name the same, folder name the same. I will create a website and blog with the Tailwind so that we have already some pre-made components. You can choose Next.js, Astro, Remix, or Gatsby. So let's start with Next.js with the app router with some default content. Okay. So now the CLI will scaffold the project for you. So it will download it from Git, create a project on the React Bricks APIs, saving the secret in the .env, installing all the dependencies, and creating the pages, some default pages using the APIs. Okay, so now we can enter the folder. Okay. And before starting the project, let's open our editor, this project, and then we can start. Check. Okay. So let's see what we found, what we can find at localhost 3000. Okay, this is a Next.js project, a Next.js website that was scaffolded by the CLI. To edit it, we can go to the /admin folder. And here we can log in with the same credentials to edit the website. So login. Okay. So here you see that on the left, we have all the pages of our website. And if I click on the page, you see that we have this pink border. This is a React component. It's our Lego brick. This is another component. This is another one. You see that as I move from one brick to the other, you see the sidebar controls that change. So for example, here I can change the highlight color for this hero unit. Here I can choose if I want the logos in grayscale or not. Here I can choose that the image is left or right. And so this is the level of freedom that we can delegate to our content editors. And to edit the content, I can just write, so welcome to a visually editable website. Let's apply the highlight style. And you see, I can write everywhere. So tutorial, see the video. So it's very easy. I can write everywhere. Our customers love this. For images, I can just click on an image, replace from the DAM. So I can search on the library, or I can select an image from Splash, upload it from a URL, etc. And you have the concept of bricks inside of bricks. So you see that here, this is a three bricks repeated inside of this brick. So now we don't have time to see many features of React bricks. I want to start building a custom brick so that you understand how this works in code and how the developers have control to decide what the content editors can do. So let's create a new brick. When I click the plus button, you see that here you have all the design system. When I hover over a brick, I see the preview. And so before clicking, I see the preview of the design system. We want to create a new one of these blocks. So let's suppose that I want to create a block which is a text image, for example. So let's open our code editor. This is a Next.js project. You see the typical app folder of Next.js. Now we concentrate on the React bricks folder. This is where our bricks live. So let's create a new folder. Suppose that we are Acme company. So I create an Acme folder. Inside of the Acme folder, I create a new folder, which is text image. And here we create our component. So let's create a text image.tsx, text image. Okay. So let's start creating our brick. Let's say const text image. And let's start by just creating a React component. So let's return an h1 tag with hello world. And let's make this a bit visible. This is a project with already Tailwind installed. Remember, we chose the starter with Tailwind, so we can say text free Excel, font, let's say font extra bold, and some margin below. And let's make it also dark mode compatible. Okay. So let's export this. Export the default text image. Okay. Now, this is a React component. This is not a brick. To make it a brick, we need to define it as a type brick. So let's import the types from React bricks. In this case, it's React bricks / React server components because we are using Next with the app folder. And we declare this React component as a brick. Okay, you see that a brick is essentially a React component, a functional component with a schema property. So now it's not a correct brick because we are missing the schema. Let's provide a schema for this brick. So textimage.schema equals, we just need two things to start. The name for the brick. This is a unique name that identifies the brick in the design system. And consider that this name also is saved on the database to identify the block that needs to be rendered. So a page on the server, it's an array of blocks, each with its name, which matches this name, and the props that need to be passed in to the components. So let's say the workshop text image, and we just need a label, so a name that the editor sees, so that text image. Okay, you see that we don't have any TypeScript error anymore. We are ready to add this brick to our bricks. So let's go to the index where we have all the bricks. You see we can define themes. So let's define a theme for our company. So Acme. We have a category which is, let's say, content. And here we add our brick, which is text image, this one from the Acme folder. Perfect. So now we added our brick. Let's go to the website, the editor, and let's create a new page. Let's say test. And So here you see text image, and we can also decide that we want to see only the Acme bricks. And so you see here text image. When I click, we have this hello world. I can add a new one, text image, hello world. Okay, perfect. Here, of course, I cannot edit hello world because we didn't make it visually editable yet. So let's do it immediately. To make a brick visually editable, we need the text component from React Bricks. But let's start defining an interface for this component. So interface text image props, and we need a title. Let's say that we want to edit the title. The title is of type text value. And so here we get the title as a prop for our React component. Oh, we need to say that this is a brick with this text image props interface so that it is correctly typed and now it recognizes the title. And so now we can import the text component from React Bricks, and here we can say text, and we have a snippet because I installed the React Bricks snippet, which I suggest you to do. So we can just click here and we have a scaffolded text component, type a title. Okay, and let's remove this H1. You see that the text has a prop name, the value, the placeholder, and the render block. In the render block, of course, we don't want a span, but we want our H1 tag. So the H1, okay, the children, and let's close the H1. Okay, so the render block is this one that will render our H1 tag. Okay, so let's see what happens now. Okay, you see that now we can write. So we already created a brick that we can use and that our editors can use to write some content. We can provide a default for the text. So here in the schema, we can say get default props. And the get default props is a function that returns an object with the default props. You see that here the title is typed. So everything is well typed. I can say that the title by default is as thick as a brick. Okay, what happens now is that when I create a new, let's remove this, and create a new block, a text image, and you see that by default, when I create it, I have thick as a brick, our default content. Great. So remember that this should be a text image component. So let's add the image part. Before I just create a section around and a container from the pre-made design system just to create some spacing around. So let's put our text inside this container. I just created some space around. And now let's create a div with a flex so that we have the image on one side and the text on the other side. So let's create a div with, let's say it's a grid with LG two calls. So grid calls two, so we have two columns and some gap. Okay, inside this div, we create two divs, one for the text, the other for the image. So let's put our text in the first div, and in the second one, we need to add our image. So let's add an image in our interface. The type this time is an image. So we get the image from the props. And here we can use the image component from React Bricks. So the same thing, we import the image component from React Bricks, and here we can use the snippet to create a React Bricks image. Prop name is image, the source is this one, the alt text, let's say image. This is the fallback alternate text because the editor will provide the alternate text when they load an image, of course. Let's say with 800, you see that we can provide an aspect ratio. Now I show you, let's remove the aspect ratio for now. And let's go here. you see that now we have this image. I can click, I can select an image from the library, for example. And here I can crop it as I want because I didn't set an aspect ratio. Let's say that we don't want the editors to add a vertical image here. We can set an aspect ratio, let's say 16/9, for example, so that now when we want to add to load the image, you see that now the editor is forced to crop it in this fixed aspect ratio. Great, so let's add some description below the title so that we see also how rich text works. And so to do it, let's add the rich text component from Bricks. Let's add a new property which is description, which is of course of type text value. Again, we get the description here. And here we use a rich text. So rich text, let's use the snippet that is faster. And here you have description, okay? You see that here we have something new, the allowed features. So we can decide which rich text feature we want the editors to use for this rich text. So let's start turning this into a paragraph. Let's give it some style. So let's see that it is text LG, maybe a bit lighter than the title, something like that. Okay. Okay, perfect. Now we are allowing the bold, only the bold feature. Let's see how this works. Oh, let's provide a default also for the description, since we are here. Description, and let's say another break in the wall. Okay. So here we are. You see that here we can write a description. And in this description, we can add bold. Of course, we don't have the default text because this brick was already on the page. If we add a new brick of kind text image, let me reload, sorry. Oh, I didn't save. Let's add a new brick, text image, and you see that we have another brick in the wall by default, and here we can write. When I over here, we can add the bold tag because we enabled bold. Let's suppose that for the bold, I don't want the standard B tag, but I want to customize it. So we can say render bold, and here we can just provide a React functional component. So we have the children, we return a B tag with our children. But we can say that here we have a class name, which is, for example, text pink 500. So now, when you see that when I apply bold, I have it pink. So you can decide exactly what the editor can do and what is the style that is applied. I show you another example, which is a bit more complex, which is the link. You know that by default, if I enable link, the A tag in Tailwind doesn't have any style by default. So I enable the link, but now if I add a link here to React Bricks, open a new window, apply, you see that we don't see any style at the moment for this link. So let's change this and provide a render function also for the link. So render link, and for the link, so we get children, but also the href, the target and rel, and we return a link component from React Bricks. So we take the link component from React Bricks, and this link component, we have the children here, and href, which is equal to our href, a target, which is our target, and rel, which is our rel. Of course, we need to customize the style, otherwise we have the same result. But at this time, we can provide a class name. So let's say text sky 500 over text sky 600 transition colors. Okay, so let's see it now. Let me add the link again. Apply. Oh, sorry. Let me reload. Okay, now we have this link, and if I go to the preview, you see that this link brings to the Reabricks website. The beautiful thing of using the link component of Reabricks is that under the hood, we'll use the link component of the framework. So in this case, since we are in Next.js, we use the link from Next.js. But when we are in the editing interface, we can click on it without triggering the link. So the link is triggered only when we are in preview. So this is very handy for the editors. Okay, so you see that when I add a component from the other teams, we have this preview, which is handy. Now we don't have a preview for our brick, so let's provide a preview immediately, going to the playground. The playground is where we can see all of our design system. So we see all of our components. We can play with the components and see the props. So let's go to our Acme text image. Here we can write something more. So let's do something like this. And we can take a screenshot of this component, get component screenshot. I click URL copied to the clipboard. So we go here in our component and we can say preview image URL is this one, and we are good to go. So now we come back to the editor, and now, okay, when I add a new brick, you see that now we have our preview. Great. So now let's create the small switch on this brick, because now the editors can just click, add the image, modify the text. Let's say that we want the editors to be able to choose the image side, left or right. So let's create a new prop, which is image side, which is using TypeScript left or right. And we get this image side here. And we want to, let's say this div, which is the one for the left side, we want to apply a class if the image side is left instead of right. So to do this, let me install quickly CLSX. So pm add CLSX, which allows to apply conditionally CSS classes. So now we can do something like this. Div class name equals CSX. So we apply the class order last if the image side is equal to left. Okay. Now, how can the editor choose the side? We need to provide a control. So we need to add a sidebar control to our component. So we have side edit props. Side edit props is an array of the controls. And here we can use side edit prop, the side edit prop snippet from the Reabricks snippets. And we can say that this is image side, the label is image side. Let's keep it just as text for now, just to do an experiment. So, second page. Okay, so when I click now, you see that there is this image side. As soon as I write left, you see that the image goes on the other side. Of course, this is not the way we want our editors to choose the side. It's better to say that this is a select control. And for a select control, we can provide the select options. So select options where we can decide we want to select a radio, a color picker. In this case, it is, let's choose a radio. The first value is left. And of course, we want another value, which is right. Oh, we can also define what is the default for this image side. We can say that by default, the side is, and you see here also everything is fully typed in TypeScript. You can say by default, the image is on the right. So now when we add a new brick of this type, we should see that we have the image on the right. Okay, but we can choose to have the image on the left. And this is how you can create these Lego bricks of content that are editable by our content team. So I'd like to show you also when I add this brick and I save the page on the network, I would like to show you that the content for the page, you see, this is the content. So it's a very clean JSON. So what we are saving is type, an array of just one block in this case. The type is WS text image that matches our design system. And here are the clean props that we are saving. So we are really saving structured content on our database, but at the same time, we have this great visual editing interface. So I'd like to show you quickly how we can nest also a brick inside of another brick. To do this, let's create a new component under Acme. So create a button, and let's create a button.tsx. In this case, I will copy and paste a component that I already have. So here we have already a brick. You see that this brick has a button text. So it's a button with a button text. We have a link, and inside we have a text so that you can edit the text. You see that we have a path. So where does this button brings to, and the type, which can be primary or secondary. Now you see that we don't have any side edit props. We would like to add the side edit prop for the path and one for the type of button. So, because if I add it as it is right now, let me show you how it works. So let's add our button, this one. So now when I can add also a button, but this button I can just write over the button, but I have no way of choosing the type or the path. So let's add these two sidebar controls in the button. So side edit props, it's an array. So let's add a side edit prop. The first is the path, which is type text is okay. And then we create another side edit prop, which is our type, and it is of type select. Remember that for select, we have the select options. Select option, let's choose a radio again. And here we have primary, or secondary. So let's create another option for secondary. Okay, let's see how it works now. So let's add the button. Okay, you see that now we can provide a path. So slash about us, and we can choose if it is primary or secondary. You see that it changes, the UI changes. Okay, we need to provide a default. It is better if we say that the type by default is primary. We can also provide a default for the path if we want. Path by default is this one. And one thing, for the path, we don't want the editor to provide something like this. So we can validate the input. So we can say that for this path, we provide a validate function. So we have a first parameter, which is the value, and as a second, all the props, so that we can also provide cross-field validation. In this case, just enough to have the value. And so we can say that if the value starts with, let's say, slash, or it starts, the value starts with HTTPS, it's okay. Otherwise, we return invalid path. Okay. So what happens now is that if we add our button, okay, if we provide something which is not valid, you see invalid path. If we provide HTTPS something, now it's okay. Great. So now let's, I wanted to add this, I click the, we want to add this button inside of our brick. So what we can do is we have our interface for the button. We export it so that we can use it inside of the other brick. And inside of the text image brick, we want to add a repeater. So we want to repeat the button inside of the text image. To do this, we create a prop which is buttons, which is of type repeater items. Repeater items, we can provide a generic, which is the button props, this one, okay? And so we get the buttons here, and we can just add a repeater. So we import also a repeater from React Bricks, and below the text, so here, we can add a repeater. This repeater, oh, let's use the snippet. Repeater. Okay, a repeater has a prop name, which is buttons, and the items to render are the buttons. Okay, we are missing just one thing. How can this repeater know which components need to be repeated? We need to tell it. So here we add the repeater items. The repeater items is an array of everything that we can repeat inside of this component. So we create one, which is name, it's buttons, so it matches the name that we added in the repeater. And we need to provide the item type, so which type of component needs to be repeated here? It's the WS button, which is the name that this button has. Okay, so let's see if this works. Now we go here. You see that we have nested items now. If we click on nested items, add a button, add a button, add a button, and we can, of course, we don't want our editor to do something like this. So let's limit the number of buttons that can be added, and let's put also some spacing around. So first thing, let's provide a render wrapper function. This will render something when there is at least one element. So we get the items, and we want to create a div for these items. So slash div. And this div, let's add a class name, which is, let's say, flex, something like flex with some gap and some margin top. And we need to limit the number max 2. So we want 2 button max. Okay, so now, okay, now nested item, you see 0 of 2, I add 1, I add another 1, and now we cannot add anymore because the max number was reached. This is maybe secondary, so learn more, and this is sign up. Okay. We don't want our user to add buttons anymore because they don't make sense by themselves. So what we can say in the button is just say hide from add menu true. So the user now cannot add anymore a button by itself. They can just add it inside of our text image. You see, we just have text image. Inside here, we can add the buttons. Okay, great. So I think we saw a lot of things. Now what I'd like to show you is just some CMS feature of React Bricks very quickly and something that we are cooking right now. So First of all, here, let me go to another project because also this project was, we just created it. It is in a free plan. So I set up also a project with a more powerful plan so that I can show you more things. So let's stop this one. Let's go to this project. And by the way, this project is also a Astro project, so that to show you that Reabricks works very well also with Astro. So Astro by default starts on port 4321. So let's go to the admin. You see this is a completely other website. And so here you have another design system, other bricks. And here you can see also a very complex design system because you can see that you can have multiple images. You can have one, two, three. So images are also, you have on the image, you can add something like the frames or you can add blurry background with many different shades or you can add a shape, so mask with, with a shape. So you can really create also very complex interfaces when you want to provide a lot of freedom to your content editors. What I'd like to show you is, well, the SEO, first of all. Reabricks has a great SEO module where you can provide the meta tags, open graph, Twitter card, and the full implementation. We implemented the whole schema.org semantic data. So you can say that this one is an event, for example. You have the attendance mode online, stream URL offline. So you have the venue name. You can add tickets. So you have these semantic data that are great for search engines and are great also for the LLMs. Another thing is you see that you can create multiple page types inside of Reabricks. Now we don't have time to see the code, but you can imagine that every content type, every page type can have its own bricks and constraints, also permissions. And we can create also templates. So instead of having the freedom to compose pages, in some cases, imagine this is a product in an e-commerce system. We have a heading that cannot be removed. This is the added to cart section, for example. And imagine that the editor can just change the text, but cannot remove this kind of block. Then we have another section where we have more freedom and maybe a section that cannot be edited at all, like the related products. Another thing that's interesting is the ability to connect any external data sources. So here I use the Pokemon example. Let's add Dragonite, save. Here, this data is coming from the Pokemon APIs. So now not very useful, but imagine that this is an e-commerce system where we can get data from, for example, Shopify. This is a true e-commerce created with the Next.js, where the data comes from Shopify. And I can just click the edit button when I have in a page. And something comes from Shopify. I cannot change the price, of course, but I can change something else like the shipping and returns, or I can add a new carousel, for example. In this carousel, I can add nested items, and these items come from Shopify. So I have a control which is of type autocomplete, and this autocomplete gets from the I was able to get the same come from the Shopify APIs. So you can mix and match content from external data sources with content which is edited in a visual way. So very quickly, I show you the that we have the possibility to create also email marketing campaigns inside of Reabricks. So let me create a new email, test email. So with the same design system that we have, or bricks that are made for email. You see, in this case, we have a subset of the bricks. We can choose, for example, email header. We can add an email gallery, for example, email article cards, etc. So we can compose an email. In this case, we are using React Email. But in a page type, which is of type email, what we can do is select provider. The provider are configured in the settings I show you later. So you can choose, configure any provider, ConvertKit, Brevo, MailChimp, Resend, anything. So let's choose MailerLite. Now it gets the list from the MailerLite APIs. I can choose my audience. I can choose my sender, campaign name, subject. I can send a test. I can send and also schedule for later. And this uses the API, in this case, of MailerLite. So you will see then the scheduled send in your MailerLite, and you will see also all the statistics for your send inside of your email sending provider. In Rubrix, you can create forms because typically this is something that the marketing team wants to create forms without having developers developing an API for each form they want to create. Rubrix provides already the form feature. So let me go to settings. And in the settings, I show you here is where you configure the email provider that we saw before. We can create a form. So let's create a new form. Let's say newsletter. And I want to save the form values to database, the Rubrix database. I want to send values by email to my email address, and I want also to add the contact to an email list because we have this MailerLite list. Why not adding the submits to the people also to our audience? So create a form. Here we have our form, and now we can go to the editor. We can create let's create a form page. Say here I add a block which is form. Of course, this is just an example block of a form, but you can create your own brick for a form. And in the form, well, I can also, if I want, add an input, let's say company, etc. And I can choose the name, of course, for this field, which is company. And I can choose the form. So you see the newsletter form that we created in the backend. The success message is sent and save. Now we have a form which is already getting data. When I fill in this data, you will find here you will find also the entry. When there is at least one entry, you can click, you see the entry, you can export them in CSV. And they are also, you also receive the entry by email, and they are added to your marketing list. You can also add a Zapier call, a Zapier hook, so that you can connect these forms to anything. Great. Another feature that I'd like to show you is AI. So let me create a new page, which is test AI. With Rubrix, you can create full pages of content. So let me generate a page, create a page about New York. Generate content. Now, what happens here is that Rubrix understands your design system, so can understand the bricks. And so it can generate content doing a plan of what is a page about New York, which bricks do I need? Then I create the content for these bricks, but it stays on brand. So you see, experience the heartbeat of New York City. Explore New York, visit our headquarters. This is very interesting that the AI created this visit our headquarters. What does it mean, visit our headquarters? Well, I show you that in the dashboard under AI, I provided some up level, some site level context where I said in New York, there are the new Rubrix headquarters open since Q4 2025. It's not true yet. So you see that it says visit our headquarters, of course. So experience the vibrant city life of New York. Here created a text image. Here the some a repeater. But you see, now I can write everywhere. I don't like this icon. I can change the icon. I don't know. sun, and I can change the icon. I want the icon to be green. No, it's not this one because in this case I decided to have the same for all the icon. I need to change another part. And what you see that I can change everything. I want not square icons, but this type of icons. I can change the icon's color, so it's really powerful. It created also a testimonial, some statistics, and so it's you have a full page. The great thing is that we are about to release also an MCP. And so with this MCP, you can also create a microservice that can create pages asynchronously. So you can create pages to fulfill long tail keywords, for example, for SEO purposes. And in the night, you will have Revit creating pages for you in draft, and the marketing team review it they review the pages in the morning and accepts the pages. The great thing is that everything is fully editable and on brand. Very last thing, because we have just 1 minute left, and then I hope you can remain for some question, or maybe let's see if there is some question. And meanwhile, I open another project to show you a thing which is in alpha. Let's see if we have some questions in Zoom. Sorry, here. Let's expand the Zoom interface. Hi, can you show how handles SEO? Okay, I showed it. Everyone, Rubric's really cool. Congratulations. Do you have any idea when this new feature will be released? Okay, yes, the feature for the forms feature and the email marketing feature is already released in V5. Also, AI at single text level. So you see here this button. You can change using a prompt single text. The AI to generate full pages will be released in about 1 month. So you will be able to describe semantic features of your brick to the AI. And instead, in 2 weeks, we will release a new feature, which is A/B testing. And I can show you very quickly how it works. So let me open another project, which is React Bricks, and this one. This is a Next.js project. So very quickly. The admin. Okay, yeah, login again because it's another project. Okay. You see that you have also the multi-factor authentication if you want. We have SSO. Rubrix is enterprise ready. There are many enterprise features like approval workflows, etc., that we don't have time to see. We are also ISO 27001 certified. Okay, here we have something new. You see that we have the variant. Here we have a variant for this name, but we can set up an A/B testing for this page. So let's do it. So let's create a new variant. Let's say this is the blue variant. Create variant. Okay, now we are on the variant blue, and here we can say that we have the blue text, and maybe so that is very recognizable. Let's say a blue background like this. Okay. This variant is now in draft. Let's remove draft and let's add a weight of 50, sorry. So you see that we have now 2 variants that are active and that are served on the front end with this weight. But you can do also something different. You can also say that the V1 will be published I don't know, from this day to this other day. So imagine an e-commerce where you have a campaign for Christmas, and then you have another page that, so you see now this is not active anymore because we are on 26, and you have another page that instead is published from today until, I don't know. So you can also use the variants to have multiple pages that are scheduled in a different time during a period, and you can also have in a certain period multiple variants that are active. In that case, that they are served according to the weights. So it's a full-fledged platform. Let's see if there are any other questions. Okay, we have. This is great. Thank you. Okay. We have an existing React application with components. Is there a dedicated import project to make them editable? Do we have to rewrite their props interface completely, or we can map our existing props to your schema? Yes, what you can do is really you can do it by hand, but you can do it also with AI, since the Rubrics documentation is very well done. A Cloud Code or anything is good at working with the schema of a React brick. So if you have multiple bricks, you can try doing it with AI in some way, so assisted coding. But yes, essentially a React brick is a React component. There is no React brick import function. No. There is no import function because really it's just React. If you have your React component, once you add the schema with the name and the label, that is already a brick. Then you need to define which text that you have in your component is editable, because maybe not everything is editable. So it's your choice as developer to choose which should become a text, which should become a rich text with which allowed features. Do I have different variants, different I have this brick can be either gray or white or black. Okay, so I need to define a prop, a sidebar controller to let the editor choose the variant that they want to see. By the way, you can also, if I like this blue version of this hero unit, I can also save it as a story. So I can say I save this story as the blue hero. And so now when I add another hero unit, you see that you also see there is hero unit, and they can choose. Okay, I want the blue hero story, and they recover that that props. So it's interesting. It's possible to create these stories on the database by the editor, the marketing teams, but it's also possible to create them in code. So you can create the design system with already a set of stories included for each brick. There is no migration script that can scaffold the schema static property for our existing component file. No. I think that the best way would be for us to provide a markdown file to set up a skill for agents. I think that today that would be the best thing to do. Is it possible to receive a copy of today's recording? Of course, it will be shared with everybody, every one of you. And so, yes, for this migration, I think that it could be very interesting to provide a markdown file so that it can set up a skill for an agent to explain how such a migration could be done. Okay, thank you. This is very interesting. Thank you for this suggestion. Okay.
Matteo, I think that's the list of questions that have been answered by way of chat. We thank you all for attending, although there might be one more here.
Yes, the plugin, we have a link also here. There was a link to the, 1 second, I'm sure that there was a link to the 1 second. Well, I show you in VS Code. It's very easy to find it. You search for React bricks, and you see these React bricks snippets. So just writing React bricks in the marketplace of VS Code, you can find the snippets plugin. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
One more question, Matteo, on high-level overview.
Can you do a quick high-level overview within the IDE? Okay, so an overview of the project, so the folders, etc. Well, because in the rubrics, of course, work with any IDE. If you use VS Code, you have this snippet plugin, which is very handy. But as for the project, if you scaffold the Next.js project, it is exactly a Next.js project with what you will expect in any Next.js project. So this is with the app router, you have the app folder. And the unique thing that React adds is this React Bricks folder where there is the configuration of React Bricks. As you can see, there are many things that can be configured. You can also change a bit the UI. Now we don't have time to see all of these, but you have the configuration for React Bricks and you have this set of bricks. Apart from this folder with the set of your bricks that implement your design system, the project is exactly a Next.js project. And also React doesn't add any overhead. So when you create your component, what you will find in the HTML, which is generated, is exactly your component, one after the other. No divs inside of this, inside of div that you see in other visual solution. In this case, it's very clean. It doesn't add anything to the performance that you can have with the native Next.js or Astro application. If you see the Astro project, it's exactly the same. It's a normal Astro project with the React Bricks folder. By the way, you can also take this React Bricks folder and port it from a Next.js side to an Astro site. The unique thing that you need to change is these imports, and everything works in the same way. So you can port a project from one technology to the other in minutes.
Okay. All right.
For the
Great.
plugin, it's sorry. For the plugin, it's very an overview. The command that you have are the when you are in the JSX, you have the text. So essentially, you have text. You see rich text, image, repeater, and link. So the GSX component. And when you are here, you have the repeater items, side edit props, so you can add a side edit prop easily. Inside of side edit prop, you have these select option or icon selector options, etc. You have the autocomplete here. Essentially, this is what the snippets plugin provides. Okay.
All right. Okay. I think that might be the list of questions. Thank you for the spirited list of items to further discuss what Matteo covered today. As noted, the recording will be made available to all that attended, and that will be distributed by way of email. So we have your information, and we will go ahead and send that out. Matteo, thank you for a great presentation. Everyone, have a great rest of your evening, day, etc. And we'll look forward to speaking with you soon. Also, if you have additional questions that you'd like to drill down on, please reach out to us. And for select organizations, we also do in-depth, high level and very detailed presentations to get deeper into what you're looking to accomplish with your project and addressing any technical questions that you might have. So we have a big support team on that end to help support your efforts. Thanks again.
Thank you. Bye. Bye bye.